The air was thick with the scent of cheap cologne and a lie I hadn't processed yet. She thought I was oblivious. Rookie mistake. I wasn't plotting drama. I was calculating the cost of her next move. This wasn't a fight. It was a takeover. Hey, before we dive into this chaos, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You're not going to want to miss how this whole thing plays out. Trust me, the payback is cold. I knew it was over the moment I saw the new hiking boots by the door. Hiking. Liam doesn't hike. He only ever agreed to a trailhead if there was a craft brewery at the summit. These were pristine, straight-out-of-the-box boots, paired with socks that definitely weren't his. My wife, Sierra, strolled in at 11:30 p.m., humming some catchy pop tune, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Too happy for someone who'd supposedly just pulled an 18-hour shift closing a massive real estate deal. Her jacket was draped over her arm, a thin denim thing she only wore when she was going for that effortlessly casual vibe. The kind of vibe you pull for a date, not a final budget meeting. "Hey," she chirped, kissing the air near my cheek. She smelled like rain and some kind of high-end sandalwood scent that definitely wasn't my gift to her last Christmas. I was sitting in the worn leather armchair, reading a book I hadn't actually been focusing on for about an hour. Late night, I noted, my voice a flat line. I didn't want to fight. Fights are sloppy. I wanted data. "Ugh, don't even get me started," she groaned, tossing her keys onto the marble countertop with a clack. Client dinner went long. You know how Chad gets when he starts pitching. Chad, always Chad. Chad the demanding. Chad the workaholic. Chad the guy who always gets the corner office and, apparently, is now a magnet for pristine hiking gear. I nodded slowly. Yeah, I know how Chad gets. Dude lives at the office. She started moving toward the bedroom, shedding her expensive cashmere scarf. Exactly. Look, I'm fried. I'm gonna hit the shower. Don't wait up, okay? Got it. But just a heads up, I said, setting the book down. Tomorrow night is game night at the local. Jax is bringing his new girl. You promised. She paused at the door, her hand already on the knob. Her smile was tight, the kind of smile you flash when you're caught flat-footed. Oh, crap. You know what? My bad, honey. I totally forgot. Chad pulled the team into a mandatory early morning session. Big client pitch on Friday. I'll be in the office by 7 a.m. I gotta crash right now. Mandatory. I mentally clocked the word. This wasn't the first time an evening commitment with my people had been blown off for a mandatory late night with Chad's team. It was a pattern, and I was tired of being the placeholder for her downtime. Okay, I said, easily picking my book back up. Got it. So I'll tell Jax to put you down as a hard pass. Yeah, tell him I'm swamped. Next week, though. I promise. She disappeared. I heard the shower crank on, the familiar rumble of the pipes. I didn't move for another 10 minutes. I wasn't hurt or sad. I was calculating the spread. She was playing a hand, and I needed to know the full value of the chips she was throwing down. First thing, I walked over to the closet. Liam's clothes were all in place. Too clean, too organized. Strike one. She's keeping up appearances. I went to the laundry hamper. The socks, the new hiking socks, were not there. Strike two. She's being deliberate about the evidence. Then I checked her work backpack, which she'd carelessly left on the kitchen stool. Nothing obvious. Just the usual laptop, chargers, a few energy bar wrappers, but then I saw it. Tucked away in the zipper pocket, a key card. Not her usual office access card, but a generic-looking white one with a faded blue logo. The Pinnacle Towers, executive parking. Her office was in a completely different, older building downtown. Strike three. She has access to a place I don't know about. The Pinnacle Towers is where the big sharks rent their space. High roller. No questions asked kind of building. I didn't confront her when she emerged from the bedroom, looking refreshed and totally unapologetic. I just played the part, the chill husband who totally gets the grind. Need anything before I turn in? I asked, looking up from my book as she passed. No, I'm good, babe. Super exhausted. Love you. Love you too, Sierra. Sleep tight. The next morning she was gone before my 6:30 a.m. alarm. I didn't rush. I had coffee, scrolled through the market data, and then made a detour. I drove to my old friend Rick's place. Rick runs a private security consultancy, mostly corporate surveillance, but he's discreet and thorough. So what's the scoop, man? Rick asked, leaning against his desk, sipping a strong espresso. You look like you're about to short sell your own life. I slid the generic key card across his desk. I need to know what this key card opens. And I need to know where my wife, Sierra, is spending her time when she says she's closing deals with her boss, Chad. Rick picked up the card, his eyes narrowed. The Pinnacle Towers. That's a primo spot. No one's just borrowing this. You want a trace? GPS on the car. I'll need a deposit. No GPS, too messy. I want surveillance, Rick, old school. Timestamps, locations, who's in the picture. I don't need drama. I need to build a dossier. I need facts so solid a lawyer can't wiggle out of them. I pulled out a cashier's check. It was a chunk of change, but peace of mind and future leverage is priceless. Got it, Rick said, pocketing the check. I'll put my best guy Milo on it. He's a ghost. You won't know he's there. But remember, once you open this box, you can't close it. You ready for the visual? I took a deep breath. I wasn't just ready. I was already planning the exit strategy. Do it, Rick. I'm not looking for a marriage counselor. I'm looking for an uncontested separation with maximum leverage. My mind wasn't on her betrayal. It was on the framework of the divorce. I started the subtle work immediately. I went to the bank and opened a new personal account at a different institution. I changed the password to the shared home security system. I started scanning all the critical financial documents, deeds, investment accounts, insurance policies, and saving them to a new encrypted drive only I could access. I wasn't leaving anything to chance. That evening, Sierra came home even later. This time, she wasn't humming. She was tense, checking her phone frequently. Chad finally let you go? I asked casually, watching the basketball game. Yeah, dude's a tyrant, but he gets results. We almost locked in the Midtown deal. She grabbed a bottle of water, not looking at me. I'm crashing. Early morning. Hey, while you're up, I said. I made a batch of my famous chili. I put it in the freezer in individual portions. Might save you time for those late nights. She finally looked at me, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. Oh, that's sweet, sweetie. Thanks. Sweet. She used that word when she felt guilty. I just smiled, a calm, easy smile, the kind that says, I'm not a threat. But I was. I was just waiting for the data points to align. The real work wasn't the confrontation. The real work was making sure when the dust settled, she would realize she had walked away from everything, not just me. The keycard was the first piece. Now I just needed Milo to connect the dots. Milo was a pro. 2 weeks in, and I wasn't getting the vague, grainy shots you see in bad TV dramas. I was getting a comprehensive, time-stamped narrative. Rick's texts were lean, factual, and landed like concrete blocks in my inbox. The initial reports were damning. Subject, Sierra, enters the Pinnacle Towers parking garage. Chad is already there, leaning against a black Mercedes, not looking like a guy who's been grinding at a spreadsheet. They leave in his car, arriving at the Red Door, a high-end French joint way across town. 2 hours of dinner. No clients, just the two of them. Milo got a clean shot of Chad putting his hand over Sierra's across the table. They're laughing. Intimate. The night always ended the same way. Drop off at a trendy high-rise, the Olympus Residences, 10 minutes from the Pinnacle Towers. Sierra enters with him and leaves hours later in an Uber. The hiking boots weren't for the great outdoors. They were for the great indoors. The Olympus Residences. I'd looked it up. Luxury rentals, high ceilings, huge rents, the kind of place you keep for a side hustle life. The pictures didn't make me mad. They made me feel validated. I wasn't insecure, I was observant. Sierra thought she was a spy. She was just sloppy. The way she handled the entire situation, the forced yawns, the rushed I love yous, the constant need to mention Chad's tyranny. It all felt like she was reading from a bad script. I continued playing the role of the supportive but preoccupied husband. My new mantra was, don't react, adjust. Tough week, huh? I'd ask when she finally surfaced on a Sunday afternoon. Dude, you have no idea, she'd sigh, scrolling through her phone. Chad had us pulling a triple header. I'm dead. Tell you what, I'd reply, mixing myself a strong cocktail. I got plans. Gonna hit the gym and then grab a beer with Jax. You need anything? The relief on her face was almost painful to watch. She was expecting me to nag, to demand her time. Instead, I was giving her space, the space she needed for her other life. She took it every time. Nah, I'm good. Just gonna chill and catch up on emails. Have fun. While she was celebrating her freedom, I was executing phase 1 of the separation plan. This wasn't about divorce yet. This was about control. I knew Sierra was constantly transferring money from our joint savings into a new business expense account. I quietly changed the security questions and initiated a hard limit on all electronic transfers over $1,000 without a two-factor authentication that was linked only to my work phone. I didn't empty the account. I just put a speed bump in her financial flow. I also called the broker for our investment funds, citing a potential security breach I'd noticed on my work laptop, and had the primary login switched to my name, forcing her to go through a rigorous and time-consuming identity verification process just to view the holdings. Maximum friction. My evenings were spent building a spreadsheet. Every asset, the house, the cars, the antiques, the retirement funds, was logged with its current market value and the date we acquired it. I created a clear, unassailable line, showing exactly what was mine before the marriage and what was community property. This was the ammunition for the lawyer. I wasn't leaving anything to chance. I was thinking 3 moves ahead. If I filed first, she'd fight for the house and claim I was overly possessive or insecure. The photos changed the game. They gave me the moral high ground and the legal advantage of citing infidelity. Milo's big score dropped 3 weeks into the operation. That Thursday, Sierra told me she was at a networking gala, which I knew was BS. The gala wasn't until next month. A few hours later, Milo sent a video. Sierra and Chad were at a home goods store, not high-end, but a regular suburban Home Depot equivalent. They're looking at paint swatches and kitchen cabinetry. They're not just having a fling, they're building a nest. Chad has his arm slung casually around her shoulder as they argue good-naturedly over granite samples. This wasn't a hookup. This was an alternate life. That was the mic drop moment. It wasn't the sex that hurt, it was the planning. They were budgeting, building, dreaming of a future while she was still lying to me about being swamped with emails. I called Rick and told him to pull Milo off the case. We're done. The evidence is conclusive. It's time to lawyer up. The next day, I took a personal day from my consulting gig. I met with Estelle Reed, the top family lawyer in the city, sharp, expensive, and ruthless. I walked into her office, laid the file on her glass table, and just said, I want an uncontested divorce based on the attached evidence. I want the house, the truck, and fair access to the shared accounts. I want this done fast, clean, and with zero drama from her end. Estelle, a woman who looked like she'd survived a dozen corporate takeovers, opened the folder. She looked up at me, a flicker of professional respect in her eyes. You've done my job for me, man. Most clients come in here with feelings. You came in with a business plan, she said. We file the petition next Tuesday. You don't say a word to her until the papers are served. You stay chill. You stay the supportive husband. Give her enough rope to hang herself. I smiled, a real smile this time, a deep, satisfied grin. Consider it done, Estelle. I'm just tidying up the books. That weekend, Sierra was especially attentive. She cooked my favorite meal, brought home my preferred craft beer, and suggested we watch an old classic movie we both loved. She was probably trying to reset the score. This is nice, honey, I said, putting my arm around her on the couch. Yeah, she murmured, leaning into me. Sometimes Chad is just so much, you know? It's good to come back to normal. Normal. She had no idea how abnormal things were about to get. She thought I was the doormat. She was about to find out I was the executioner. I just held her tighter and whispered, I know, babe. I got you. The stage was set. The evidence was filed. The paperwork was ready. Now all I had to do was wait for the perfect moment to deliver the final receipt. The Monday after Sierra made my favorite scampi, I got the text from Estelle. Papers are filed. Ready for delivery. It was game time. I didn't rush home. I stayed at my office until 7 p.m., just to maintain my preoccupied routine. Sierra had texted earlier. Chad needs me to prep the presentation for a 7 a.m. pitch. Grabbing dinner at the office. Don't wait up, babe. She was giving me the perfect alibi for the final move. When I got home, the house was silent. I went straight to the liquor cabinet. Not for a drink, but for the thin brown envelope I'd hidden behind the top shelf scotch. Inside were the sealed legal documents and a flash drive containing Milo's entire dossier. Photos, videos, and time logs. I grabbed the thick Glossy cardstock Sierra used for her work presentations and wrote a short, sharp note, Sierra, the presentation you should focus on is inside this envelope. It's got everything you need for your next big transition. No need to prep for tomorrow. You're done. I placed the note on top of the envelope and the flash drive, setting the whole package prominently on her side of the kitchen island, right next to the empty space where she usually dropped her keys. Then I started packing. Not my stuff, hers. I pulled 2 expensive suitcases and went through her side of the closet. I packed meticulously. Work attire folded neatly in one, casual clothes and shoes in the other. I wasn't being cruel. I was being efficient. I was handing her back the life she had chosen. I left the engagement ring and the few pieces of jewelry I'd bought her on her bedside table. I wasn't a petty thief. I did, however, change the security code on the garage door, and I deactivated her key fob access. If she wanted in, she'd have to use the front door, where the evidence was waiting. Around 11:45 p.m., I heard the distinct sound of her Tesla pulling into the driveway. She probably wanted a clean entry. I was in the living room reading a book, still playing the role of the oblivious husband, but my heart was beating a steady clinical rhythm. No panic, just anticipation. The front door opened. "I'm home, sweetie. Sorry I'm so late." That pitch is a beast. Then, the silence. The abrupt, dead-stop silence of someone who has just encountered a problem their script didn't account for. "Liam?" Her voice was tight, thin. She walked into the living room, eyes wide, seeing the bags first, then the envelope on the counter. She looked at me, and I saw a dozen emotions flicker. Confusion, denial, and finally a flash of pure fear. "What the hell is this?" She demanded, pointing at the luggage. "Are you throwing me out? What is this bull?" I closed my book and met her gaze. My voice was low, level, and totally devoid of emotion. The most dangerous tone in a marriage. "Read the note, Sierra. Then open the package." She snatched the note, crumpling it instantly. Then she tore open the envelope. The front page of the divorce petition, citing irreconcilable differences and including a detailed separation agreement, hit her like a punch. You filed." Her voice cracked. "Over what? A few late nights? Are you serious, Liam? This is insane. Open the flash drive," I instructed. She jammed the drive into her laptop, pulled up the folder, and saw the thumbnails of the images. Her face went ashy. The color drained out completely. The shots of Chad and her at the red door, the photo of his hand on hers, the video of them laughing over the granite countertop at the home goods store. It was all there, laid bare. You hired a PI?" She stammered, horrified. "I hired a fact finder," I corrected, standing up. "You were building a life, Sierra. You were picking out kitchen cabinets with a dude 10 minutes from the Pinnacle Towers. You weren't grinding at the office. You were planning an exit. I just made it easier for you." "They're out of context," she yelled, a desperate last-ditch plea. "Chad and I are just colleagues. He's helping me on a personal Reno project. You're acting like a jealous psycho." I took a slow step towards her. The Olympus residences. The key card. The hiking boots. The 2 a.m. Uber ride home. The hand on your thigh in the parking garage. Which part is out of context, Sierra? "The part where you were building a home with a guy who isn't your husband." She realized the game was over. The denial failed. The volume dropped to a furious hiss. "Fine, you got your little pictures. You got your gotcha moment. But you don't get to treat me like trash. I'll fight you for this house, Liam! I'll take you to the cleaners." I tapped the legal papers. "Read the agreement. It's clean. You get a fair settlement. Your investment money, your car, half the furniture. But I get the house unencumbered. Why? Because you're facing a no-fault divorce with concrete evidence of marital misconduct filed against you. You fight this, and I introduce Milo's videos into public record. Your big pitch tomorrow, it'll be your last. Your reputation will be toast in this city." I leaned in, delivering the final line of the night. "You walk away quietly, you keep your career. You fight, and you lose everything. Your call, babe." She knew Chad wouldn't stick around for the wreckage. "You're a cold bastard," she whispered. "No," I replied, opening the front door. "I'm a man who learned how to value respect over convenience." "You've already taken the most important thing. These bags are just the logistics. Your new life is waiting." She grabbed the luggage, the briefcase, and the envelope, stepping out onto the porch. She paused, looking back one last time. I simply closed the door quietly and turned the deadbolt. No shouting, no slamming. Just the gentle sound of a system closing down. The revenge wasn't the divorce. It was the consequence. 2 months after the papers were finalized, I heard from an old acquaintance who still worked in Sierra's sector. Sierra's promotion was suddenly on ice. Chad's mandatory late nights had become a liability. His wife, who wasn't filing for divorce, had apparently raised hell with the firm's HR about the optics of his excessive after-hours work with a subordinate. The rumors started subtly. Chad was under internal investigation. Then came the kicker. The Midtown deal, the one Sierra was supposedly crushing, fell through due to a massive compliance oversight. Chad, needing a fall guy to save his corner office, threw Sierra under the bus. Sierra was let go. Quietly, no severance, no fanfare. Her big, shiny career, the one she sacrificed her marriage for, the one she thought would give her freedom, was dead on arrival. The Olympus residences and the granite countertops faded into a bad memory. I saw her once months later at a high-end grocery store. She looked tired, wearing clothes that weren't quite right for her. She saw me, hesitated, and then quickly turned down an aisle. I didn't pursue her. There was no need for a final word. My revenge was the realization that I hadn't destroyed her life. I had simply removed myself from it, allowing her own sloppy choices to create the inevitable destruction. I took the house, paid off the mortgage, and started renovating the kitchen, exactly the way I wanted it. I wasn't Liam the doormat anymore. I was Liam, the man who set a boundary and built a fort around it. And that, I realized, was the only win that mattered.